Hello there. Welcome back to Hallownest. I think that's just what we will call it. We're doing another build today, and you're gonna see me really challenge myself with this one a little. So we're doing a tiny house build, but we're going to try and recreate Dirtmouth. And I'm combining Dirtmouth and Forgotten Crossroads in this one, specifically because of the areas that they are. They're very similar areas, very similar colors and patterns. And there also aren't enough lots in The Sims 4 for me to do each individual area as its own. So we're doing Dirtmouth / Forgotten Crossroads. And I wanted to make sure that they were all tiny houses, or that the lot as a whole fits the tiny house criteria and gets those lot traits. So each individual house on its own, if you were to place it on its own lot, would probably get ranked as a micro home. But when they're all together, all 5 of them, they equal, I believe, a small house. And so the entire lot has the buffs for the small houses. You're going to see me player test a number of things as well. But you're going to see me figure out how to make this work. So when you place a roof tile or a piece of roof in The Sims 4, it does not count for like room tiles placed, which is how we're gonna get around this little hack. And this is the hack we're gonna use. This is how we're gonna get around this. I'm enabling my regular cheats. I always do move objects on, and I always do show hidden objects and show live edit objects. That gives me access to debug items, which cost $0. But they're just like regular items that you find in the background builds. And then I always ignore gameplay and unlock the entitlements. So we're making 5 little tiny houses. I've got my cheats enabled. I've placed a number of ladders, and I've placed my roof pieces. This is important because we're going to use that roof space. I do think I stick mostly with the tiny living stuff pack, and then maybe perhaps eco lifestyles. I do stick with a lot of the smaller pack items, but you see me placing these beds up here, and because of specifically where I'm placing them, the roof pitch is high enough that the Sims can actually stand up there and use that space, sort of like an attic space. And they can also use that dresser. Both of those items are fully functional, and that space is fully functional. So I just place in a couple of generic items just to get a feel for where things might go. I haven't settled on styles just yet, but I've got the items placed, and I made sure that all of the ladders were flipped in a way that that the dressers weren't going to stop the Sims from getting up into that area in some way. So I place just a regular little bedside table. We've got a little tiny bed in there, and then we've got a little dresser, you know, your basics. And we're just going to make all of these the same to start, and then I'll player test, and then we can customize. I actually had a lot of fun with this build. This is probably one of my favorite builds that I did. It's always really fun to try these like micro home challenges, because you just don't know what you're gonna get or what you're gonna end up creating. I have a lot of fun with these personally. So I'm just fitting in a couple of items to see what my layout could be for this particular home. Actually, if I look back on this now, there was probably a better way for me to do some bathrooms, but also probably not a better way for me. Now that I think about it, I think I did the bathrooms just right. So I'm putting down a couple of items, seeing if there's a better, really small chair. I love that high table. That's got to be one of my favorite items to use. I used it in the Hive build as well. But it's definitely one of my favorite regular build items. So I'm trying to fit in a little kitchen, and I've already set my filters. I kept my color scheme pretty like Dirtmouth Crossroads, sort of blacks, blues, grays. That's sort of the color palette, I think, of those areas. We're fitting in all of our basics, all of our essentials. So a kitchen needs a prep surface for preparing food, and then you need a fridge and a stove, guaranteed. And then you're going to see me try and fit in a little bathroom space. You can create a bathroom in The Sims that is only 2 tiles big. It is ideal to use custom content when you're doing that. Because I was trying to avoid using custom content, I chose not to. So I end up doing a 3-tile bathroom for each of these homes in different varying configurations. And then I was able to place in a couple of kitchen countertops there. I knew I had to place 2 kitchen countertops in because one of them would need to hold the sink. So the bathrooms that we're going to do are just going to be a shower and then a toilet. And you're going to see me really, really milking that move objects on cheat. If you download this lot to use it, absolutely you need to turn on move objects. That really saved my butt in this one a lot. And then just chucking on a really simple door, a really plain door. Tried to find one that was maybe a little bit Dirtmouth inspired. It was tricky, and I knew because these were residential homes, like I wasn't going to use a regular bathroom door or like one of the bathroom stall doors. And as much as it seems weird that it's a bit of a see-through door, it's actually not that weird. It's The Sims. They don't, as long as there's a door there, it doesn't faze them, it doesn't bother them at all. So this is a little bit of the player testing. You're gonna see me try and figure out how to get a sim on that lot, and then we're gonna figure out how to make sure that everything's working. So we created these particular sims in another video, Rusty and I did. So I'm using Elderbug, and that bathroom is fully functional. You can use both the shower and the toilet. And I think I maybe also just double check to make sure that the upstairs is perfectly fine as well. But I do just enter back into build mode here for a minute and start placing things. So now I'm gonna get back into the color scheme of things, and really start to specify. So each little micro home on this lot is specifically tailored to a sim who would live in Dirtmouth or Forgotten Crossroads. So this first one that you're gonna see me do, I believe the first one I do is for Elderbug. And unfortunately, when I moved all those sims out to another lot so that they wouldn't be in the way of the build, they took all of the items that I'd placed. So I do have to replace those items. I'm just fitting in the bathrooms and roughly where I think the bathrooms should go. So we do a couple of little corner bathrooms like that, and then I do a couple of straight across bathrooms. Those 3 tile bathrooms are much easier to configure and make sure that they work. It's the corner ones that are a little bit tricky. But yeah, so we're gonna get into, I picked blues, grays, blacks. I think I did also filter in some browns. Again, I tried to keep everything eco lot inspired. Uh-oh. Oh, there's a little tickle in my throat. I didn't want to cough on you guys. I ate some popcorn earlier and I think it's a corn kernel. So I end up going again with a very neutral color palette. I try and find some very simple, perhaps a little bit plain or rustic, but ideally some of the smallest chairs that I can find that fit the sort of theme. I like those ones. Those ones do come with tiny living, but they just didn't feel quite right, I don't think. So I don't know if I end up keeping that chair or not. It didn't really feel like the vibe. And then some of the homes get, you know, maybe a laptop, a little bit of entertainment. Some of the homes get other items. It depends on the person that or the character that I'm ultimately creating the home for. And a couple of the homes, I do try and design it so that it's for 2 sims. Actually, I think there's only one of these homes that I design to be for 2 of the sims, and that's this one. So I even go in and I'm able to fit a full double bed. I don't think it's a very special or fancy one. I think I kept it pretty plain. and I shoved it into the wall a little bit. And you can't even tell. I'm pretty sure that bed is fully functional. Now that's the one thing that I didn't player test. But I'm pretty sure that bed is fully functional and should be able to sleep 2 Sims. And then we just do the same flooring for all of them. A very simple gray floor. This one kind of felt, I think, the most appropriate. It felt very, I guess, Dirtmouth-esque. Like they kind of seemed really worn, like they'd been there for a while. Even the walls, I went with a very kind of muted grayish blue. I think the bathroom tiles too, I go with something very, very clean, but very, very appropriate for the particular build. And I do full floor to ceiling tiles around where the little shower stalls are, and then I just do regular wall paint, which I think is a nice little detail, to just do regular plain wall paint for the rest of it. You don't typically have a bathroom that's covered in tile. I didn't want to do the same color that's throughout the rest of the space. I was trying to find, I think I end up just going with that like grayish white, which was also a pretty good choice, especially with how loud the bathroom tile I chose is. You gotta have something to balance. And then I pick, I think, a very simple, very plain floor tile. Something that's also a little bit, I guess, rustic. Seems a little bit beaten, a little bit worn. And depending on which way you turn the tiles, especially given how tiny these little homes are, you can turn tiles or floorboards in a way to make the space seem bigger than it is. And you get a couple little decorations in there, you know, just a simple little towel. You get all your basics. So you get a little towel for in the shower. You got a little towel to dry your hands. Instead of just using the same one for each place, I think this is where I really start to change things up for each individual home. And then it also just felt like the bathroom needed a little light. So I put in a very clean window that didn't it didn't seem so out of place because of the other windows. They aren't from the same stuff packs. I think that one's maybe from Spa Day. But it's one of my favorite windows for like tiny home builds. So I went with that one for the bathrooms. And then I tried to do, okay, so I finally started on Elderbug's little home. And I just thought he would be a reading corner type of dude. And so I just give him a little reading corner. I really like that chair. I think that might actually be, it's either a base game chair or it comes in the Eco Lifestyle pack. But it's definitely one of my favorite chairs. And then I tried to figure out what to do for some type of shelf. I knew I didn't want to just do a regular bookshelf. Again, I tried very hard to avoid custom content in this one. But I knew I wanted some type of bookshelf that felt a little bit more like it would work for like Dirtmouth or Crossroads. And I knew that I could just put in a stack of books and that would work as a bookshelf. I was trying to find a shelf, a regular in-game shelf that would hold that stack of books. I didn't want it taking up space on the side table. And so I pull out a number of different shelves in the game that I think might work for this. I don't know if any of them actually do hold the books. Oh, and then I do really like that little kitchen shelf. I felt like that kitchen needed just a little something. So I pull out a number of these. Just ones that I thought fit the theme pretty well, and none of them managed to hold the stack of books. So I ended up just deciding on one, I think. Yeah, I go with this one. Because this one felt... I liked how it was clean, but it was also a little jagged, and it had the different, like the little thingy underneath, and then I free placed the books on top of it, so that will still work as a bookshelf. You can still grab a book from that shelf, I believe. It's just not sitting on there properly. And then I gave it a couple more books. We did just a little bit of decoration. I had a little bit of fun with this one. And I tried to find things that felt a little bit more like Elderbug, like things he would have laying around. Little homey touches, you know? And then give him a little light, a little reading corner light. Something low profile, something maybe a little bit more industrial. But I also didn't really want it to be seen, so I hide it underneath the bookshelf. And it still works. It works perfectly, actually. You definitely need the move objects on cheat when you're playing on this lot. It's a little bit of an important one, I think. And then I just adjust those a little. I personally don't enjoy building with the, I think it's the Sims 3 camera. I don't like that. I don't like the controls of it. I'm probably just a bit more used to Sims 4 camera controls. But the Sims 3 camera controls are the only ones that allow you to do that free swivel. So every now and then I switch and do that one. I felt like Elderbug would have some type of wall of pictures, maybe like long forgotten family or something. So I was trying to find a photo compilation that would perhaps be really appropriate for Elderbug, like maybe a loved one, long forgotten. I think I placed this one at first to be like, this is all of the family that once was, and then I think I find a smaller one that I like better. I didn't think he'd have like a massive wall, but just a small little collage of family. You know, people that he missed. I knew I wanted to use this one in a different home too, so I place it just off to the side for now. I don't think this is... Well, this might be the house that I start working on next, actually. Although I don't think I'm done quite yet with elderbugs. And you'll also see me reconfigure the doors. I wanted them all to be the same, but also slightly different. So some of the doors get moved into different positions, and things get a little switched around. This one I gave cupboards, and then I remembered that we needed range hoods for safety. I went with very industrial ones. And I think elderbugs, I just place a couple, yeah. I tried to keep it. It's tricky if you want to actually play. Like, I really like doing detailed builds. But when you're actually playing, like if you were to play on this lot, you have to be really mindful when you're doing the build that you don't have too much stuff on the walls, because when you play with the walls down, some of the stuff that you've placed doesn't necessarily drop, it stays in view, and then it's tricky to see what you're doing, and you can't really see your Sims either. So I like to try and build mindfully in a way that I'm aware of that. And then I place a couple other range hoods in the other homes. I think I liked those ones better than the other two, but I wanted some of these to be the same and some of these to be a little different. I wanted a little bit of variation between each of them. So like that one there, I changed things up a bit. I'm not sure if this is where I start to move on to do somebody else's little home. As I was maybe perhaps building one person's home or one character's home, I would find an item that would remind me of a different character, and I would specifically place it down. I might switch and start doing this one. I can't remember if I'm done with elderbugs or not. And if I have moved on to this one, I'm not gonna say right away whose home this one is. We're gonna see. I think the only one I'll give away is elderbugs. So if anybody has guesses for whose homes these other ones belong to, feel free to drop that in the comments. Actually, I think that's fun. We'll see if you guys can guess who these other little homes belong to in Dirtmouth Crossroads. So yeah, I have fun with these eco lifestyle windows because they have the ledges. It's frustrating to me that the ledges don't actually work as some type of shelf. You can't actually put something there. You have to free place it, so you really need to have like move objects on. But I do utilize that space for a couple of people. And this one in particular, I really like putting, a couple of little window pots up there, some little odd things here and there. I do a speaker in this one. Oh man. It's eating at me a little bit not to just say whose little home this is, but I think it's pretty obvious. Might not actually be that obvious, but I think it's a little obvious. Especially when I place these lights down. This one was cute. I had fun doing this one. And I think maybe near the end, I go up and I change the bedspreads to personalize them a little bit more. And I almost forgot to do a smoke alarm or a smoke detector in each unit. I remember to do it here. I think I put a clock in on some of these too. But just kind of tuck it off to the side so it's there and functional. And then the thermostats, because I have the seasons pack, you can put in thermostats and the Sims can adjust, for quality of life. You can adjust the temperatures in each little home. Okay. So any of the base or the basic things like that, I try and keep those the same and put them in. I try and find something appropriate to fit on this little spot too. Not that that actually works the way that I'd like it to, but if you're watching this, Sims 4 creators, developers, whoever, y'all need to fix your windows. You should try that. You should do that for your windows. You should make them into shelves. And I'm pretty sure I remembered a garbage bin or a garbage can in each one of these. There were some that I think the hive build, I forgot to put in a garbage bin. And I do a little carpet on the upstairs. I can't change the wall texture of the upstairs because that's whatever wall texture is on the exterior, it's on the interior as well because it's a roof piece. I also learned that if you place flooring on one roof square, it places on all of them, so they all get the same carpet. There was no getting around that one. That one was okay. And then I tried to place like more mature looking night lights and just tuck them in underneath each of the little end tables or side tables. It's a really weird feature to me that Sims does this, but if you don't place a nightlight, like even for adults sometimes, then like a monster will come up from under the bed and your Sim will have trouble sleeping. So you have to put in a little light for each one. I just made sure that there was a light in each one. And then I think I give each one their own individual mailbox. I thought I picked a better mailbox than those. I think I might go in and change the colors, actually. Change the colors after the fact. Because those seem a little light to me. but also very appropriate for what it is. Okay, so I finished the other house and we're moving on to this one. So see if you can guess, based on the items and the way that these homes get furnished, see if you can guess who lives in each. And I'll give a little clue. So some of the characters who have already been created by Rusty and I, some of them have homes here already. And some of these homes that I furnish, we have not yet created characters or recreated characters, I should say. And there is one of these little homes that I furnish very generically. So there's one that is furnished for no one in particular, but the rest of these are all furnished for very specific people. Some we've already created and some we haven't. So take a guess. This one was really fun to do. It was a little tricky to find. Like I had an idea of some of the items in particular that I wanted to place for this one, but it was a little bit tricky to find some of those items and then also stay within the color scheme that I had set out for myself. And this one in particular, I struggled to find the perfect rug moment for this little home. The other two, I felt like, or the first two, I felt like it was a little bit easier to find a rug that seemed appropriate, but this one I struggled a bit. Just to really get like a sense of the character and who he is. That's a little bit of a spoiler. And then to find the right color palette. I do really like that rug. It wasn't appropriate for this specific one, but that last rug that I pulled out, I do really like that one. Oh, and I gave this one a little laptop. Oh, that's cute. And then just a simple, we kept the bathrooms very simple. Everybody gets the same garbage bin, but they do get placed a few different areas. Okay, and then we move on to this one. Now, if you're guessing who is supposed to live in this one, it should be pretty straightforward because I did say it's for 2 people. This is the only one that I did for 2 people to live in and not just one, which makes it a little bit obvious, but that's okay. And I felt like this one also I wanted to do the same window, but this one, the configuration wasn't the same, and I didn't get the same vibe for this one. I felt like this one would have other windows around instead. So I did those ones. And then we're bringing back, this does honestly look like a very comfortable chair. I would love a chair that looks like this in my own home. This is the only one I think, oh no, I do a TV in the other one as well, in the generic one. And then it was tough to find pieces of furniture that weren't really clunky and bulky and took up a lot of space. And I warmed things up a little bit in this house particularly, I think. There's a few more like warmer wood tones and a few nods to very specific people. Everybody gets a stack of books because let's face it, books are valuable. Books give very infinite knowledge, and then I mess around with this a little bit. I have a bit of fun with this. But it was also really tricky to try and place these in a way that, like, you could still use the fridge and the fridge wasn't going to glitch out too much. And then to find, like, obviously that perfect little guitar pick side table. It works so well in so many tiny spots. They really haven't created a better little side table, in my opinion. And I did try very hard to stick to the same, color palette. Oh man, did I go with those towels? If I did, I'm only just realizing that that's custom content. So that would be the only piece of custom content then that made it into this build in particular. Beans. Didn't even realize. Gotta get our garbage can in there. Trusty little garbage can. And I wanted, so there's a pack that's out. I haven't purchased it. It's called Nifty Knitting. I felt like that particular pack would have been really appropriate for this build. I don't know why. Like, it's not like the characters that I did this particular build for would probably ever be knitting, but it just seemed like it was maybe a very appropriate thing to put in. I don't put it in because I don't have that pack, but I wish I'd have it. And I wanted to do a floor lamp, but the floor was getting very crowded. So I end up just finding a simple little wall sconce. And then a very specific decorating detail that I put in here to sort of give a nod to the characters who would live here. That's sort of a very deep lore tidbit, I think. And a little tiny bit of decoration, not too much. I didn't want to put too much in any of these. I didn't want to like overload the lots a bunch. And the simple little rug moment, I felt like these particular rugs were the right call. I don't know why. And then I think a couple of these, or do I raise them all up? Yeah, I raised them all up. So I can raise them all up like that, and it's not too tall, it's not too high. You don't need to put in like a set of stairs because it's only one ledge or one step up. Your Sims can just get right in there, okay? Yeah, this is the generic one. I didn't have a character in mind to do for this one. And I also realized that I lost my ladder. I think I lost a bunch of my ladders, actually. I don't know when I lost them, but they all glitched out somehow. So you may have to go in and place your ladders all over again. Oh, I think that happened because I lifted each of the homes up onto the platforms. That's why they glitched out. So you should be okay. They should all still be there. This one, I do put in a TV. This one, I just kind of had fun with because I wasn't really designing it for any one specific character. I just kind of like randomly placed a number of items. I just kind of made it like a fun, cozy place. I don't know. I might go in and redesign or redecorate this one at some point. If I do end up creating a character who fits in this particular build, this character also gets a really cool set of speakers, and then I go into technology. It took me a bit to find precisely what I was looking for, and I realized that what I was looking for didn't come in the colors that I was after, so I put in a little gaming console. I just make it blue, this like weird blue, but it's a blue, and then some books. And I chuck in, I end up using that long window just off to the side. I don't know, that felt better than using another tall window to me. I don't know why. It felt right for this one, so that's okay. And then a rug moment for this particular house was tricky. Yeah, I think I just go with a very plain, basic. This is a very simple one. Not a whole lot of decoration. Not a whole lot of anything, really. And then I pick a simple black foundation. Make them all match, and we get into, I think this is where I started with the terrain stuff. Yeah, I do some terrain paint. So I try and do like little paths, just like randomly drawn rough paths. There was no real rhyme or reason to any of the paths that I drew. Yeah. And then I make it seem very like barren, as little grass as possible. And I eventually make it a bit more muddy, a bit darker. You know, because it's Dirtmouth and it's Crossroads, and it's not like a very lush green place, you know, like it's not like Green Path, it's not like, but it's also not industrial like, you know, City of Tears or White Palace or any of those other places. Like, it is very just kind of grungy and forgotten and deteriorating, you know, a little dilapidated, muddy. And so I tried to just paint over the terrain with no real rhyme or reason. You know, just little bits here and there. It was tricky too to try and work around all of the houses. That made things a little bit more challenging, but just had a little fun with eliminating as much of the vibrant green as I could. And I tried to pull up some like grungy debug items. I don't know why it wasn't working for me. I think I figure out later on why it ended up not working for me very well. But I didn't end up figuring that out. I find a couple of little path lights, just randomly place those around a couple of places. I'm really bad. I always forget to do exterior lights like on the houses themselves. But I did remember to do little path lights, and then just used, these are regular stones. I wanted to use debug stones, but I couldn't get them for whatever reason in this build. So I'm using, I think it's the bracket, yeah, it's the bracket keys, the square bracket keys. You can use those to size up or down an item and make it bigger or smaller than it is. But I just randomly go in, I place a couple of, tufts of grass, because those were obviously everywhere. Heyo, shout out to the people who were obsessed with chopping down all the grass. I was one of those people. I still am. For whatever reason, I can't not do it. And I wanted a tree or two in here. I tried to find like some of the darkest trees. None of them really felt like they made sense. I think I ultimately go with maybe these ones. And then I think I find, a couple more bushes, a couple of shrubs, and then some logs. You'll see me place in a few logs as well. And I think garbage bins, or maybe I don't do the exterior garbage bins. I think I leave them. Yeah, I do some logs. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this particular build. I had a lot of fun doing it. Be well, and I'll see you next time.